I'm Ava Vidal.
I'm Samantha Asumadu.
And this is the NDA Podcast.
No Dickheads Allowed.
The biggest phenomenon and a Picasso with the pen.
Okay, so this is our episode 2, and it's quite exciting because later in the show we've got a journalist who you may know called Baig.
And in the background we have my gorgeous daughter, Neon, who will not be quiet. It's Bring Your Daughter to Work Day.
We've decided.
Yeah.
What date is it? It doesn't matter what date it is. Every day is Bring Your Daughter to Work Day.
Yeah, it is for me actually.
Okay, so we're going to start off talking about equal pay.
Okay.
Because was it just this week or maybe last week that Okay, so we're back, and we're going to talk about equal pay. Apparently, was it this week or last week? In fact, it was 6 days ago. It looks like it was Equal Pay Day. Did you know that?
I did read something about that, yeah.
Okay, so maybe future Prime Minister Jeremy Corbyn sent a tweet out, and he said, "Today is Equal Pay Day. For the rest of the year, women will effectively work for free. The next Labour government will force companies to take action to tackle the scandal of unequal pay." And that's a pretty good tweet. And, I was quite, taken by it. I favourited it and so on. However, I did then quote tweet it and say, sort of star mark, white women, the rest of us started working for free some months ago. And when I say the rest of us, I mean women of colour and black women, because we get paid less than white women, obviously.
Yes, we do. What I really get annoyed about when it comes to equal pay is the fact that they will say to the men to take a pay cut as opposed to paying the women more. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, it's dragging us all down, isn't it?
I don't understand it. And I think what it is, somebody pointed it out to me, it's essentially to cause division. So that men will get angry with women and say, you're reducing our pay. And you know what I mean? It's just,
but who's driving that? Who would want that?
The bosses.
Right.
That's what they do. So what they do is they divide the male and female employees by going to the men, you're going to have to take a pay cut because this is what the women are getting paid.
Wow. So basically divide and conquer.
Absolutely.
So they're learning off the colonialists of past.
Yes, most of them are.
Colonial tactics.
Yes.
Diane Abbott getting a bit of trouble for actually rightly saying that some people divide and rule. I think she said white people divide and rule, I think, wasn't it?
Yes. And yes.
She had to apologise for that, didn't she?
I'm sure she won't like us bringing it up.
Probably not, actually. Maybe
they gave her a hard time for it. They really did, yeah.
They did. Okay, so quite often people don't factor. Yeah, there you are.
That's you on the camera.
People don't factor in the fact that that black people in general get paid less than white people. Certainly,
black men get paid less than white women.
Yeah, and that's even with a degree, the same sort of CV, the same sort of qualifications. They will still get paid less.
Absolutely.
And it's a scandal, really.
I think it was Dotun Adebayo when all the BBC people were saying what they actually get paid, and I think he said he gets paid £250 a show. Which is ridiculous.
No.
Because he produces that show, he presents that show, he chooses the guests, he chooses topics, he interviews everyone and shits theirs and does what he does, and he gets paid $250 for it.
You know what?
Ridiculous.
That sounds absolutely ridiculous. We'll fact check that to make sure it's actually that
I remember
number.
him saying so, but I think it really is because I did something for local radio before.
Right.
And they call BBC London local radio.
Okay. Well, hopefully after he said that, they raised his pay, but who knows? Who knows?
I'd be interested to know if the others get that on that station. But
absolutely, because there's a Sonny and Shay show as well. I've been on both shows. They're both Asian presenters. I'm not sure if they're in with. I don't think they are the Asian network, but anyway, both. So I think they're just on before Dotun, and then Dotun comes on. So I've been on both shows. I'd like to know who's getting paid what, and especially what the white presenters are getting paid as well.
Yes, exactly. Because I'd like to know if Vanessa Feltz is on the same as Dotun.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, well, yeah. So equal pay. Factor in the fact that we all get less than white people.
Yes.
If you're going to be radical about getting equal pay done. So,
exactly. You have to take race into account as well as gender.
Exactly. Okay. So what were we going on to next? We were going to talk about We put down Michelle Williams,
That
and now
was
there's
me.
2 Michelle Williams. I know the
gosh.
one, the actress who's
Oh,
been
you
in
mean the
various
Heath Ledger
films.
one?
Yeah, Heath Ledger. No.
Oh my God, this is a black woman. This is a black woman, and we're talking about Michelle Williams, and that's the Michelle Williams she calls. Oh my God.
Oh, like what?
You are
So who's
cancelled.
more famous? So I know she's in Destiny's Child,
Thank
but
you.
you put it on the list. Tell me why you've put Michelle
I
Williams
pushed
on the
Michelle
list.
Williams on the list today to speak about. I'd like my daughter to be quiet.
You'll be
Listen,
lucky.
you should be paying attention, Leon. We're talking about serious stuff here. So Michelle Williams this week, the Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child, who is engaged to a white guy who's a preacher. I'm sure he's a preacher.
You're telling me.
He basically was talking to her about communication, and she said maybe you don't understand the way I communicate, and because you're not black, and maybe you don't have that many black friends, so you don't understand why we have to be the way we are sometimes. And he turned around by completely gaslighting her and going, oh, because she suffers from depression. Oh, have you taken your meds today?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hang on. And what's their relationship? They're married. They're engaged.
Engaged to be married. Yeah.
Right. And did
So-
she look like shocked or what?
I didn't
Because
actually
has he
see a
said
clip.
that?
I didn't actually see a clip. I read about it, and it has. Right, come here, please. Come to mummy.
No.
It's okay. She can come
I
to me.
like it with you, Mummy.
Do you hear that? I don't like it with you, mummy. All right then, darling.
To that one.
You want to go to that one? Her name's Auntie Sam.
Yeah, give her no if you're gonna go. Come on then. Go on.
Anyway,
Carry on.
Michelle Williams, basically, it caused a lot of conversation online because people are like, hold on a second. If this guy's going to be using her mental health problems against her when she speaks about race, then he's not the guy for her. And then other people said Michelle Williams had no right. Well, you can guess which people said. Michelle Williams had no right to be bringing up race in the first place. So she put him in
No, right?
Yeah.
It's their relationship. She can do what
Exactly.
she wants. And he can, I guess. And he does, it sounds like.
But it brought up a lot of conversation about mixed race relationships. And I know that when we speak about it, we often speak about black men with white women. And we don't speak about it so much the other way around.
Yeah.
I know that in my experience, black men can be very vicious if they see you with a white guy.
Right.
Absolutely. I don't
I've
know.
seen some comments online.
Oh, I've seen.
I don't have anybody in my life who'd be so petty, to be honest.
No, but you
yeah.
don't have to know them. Like,
Yeah,
I remember
no.
being with a white guy. I wasn't actually going out with him or anything. And a black guy coming over to us and actually having a go at me.
Yeah, actually, I
Okay.
have had that. I
Yeah.
was with a friend. It's when I lived
Yeah.
in Uganda. Some guy came up to. I was just with a. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They do. Black men will come and tell you about yourself if you are sitting there with a white guy. And I just find the dynamics really...
But that doesn't happen all the time because I
No,
have
no,
gone
not all
out
the
with.
time.
Well, I've gone out with people of all different races. But when I did have a white boyfriend, the last one, we didn't get any trouble really. I'm not sure why.
No, it doesn't happen all the time, obviously, because it
Yeah.
would just be nuts. But I mean, there are a choice few people
Yeah.
out there who will say something. But I tend to find, like, the name calling, that there's a microphone on the side. Can you stop? I tend to find the name calling
It's okay.
when it comes to
Come on,
Naughty, Mummy.
Yeah,
They will
okay.
do noughts and crosses. Go on.
You're not to hit mummy.
Naughty.
I do find that the name calling when it comes to sort of black women is a lot harsher.
Legs.
You know, like they will call a black woman with a white man a bed wench.
I've heard that, yeah.
And God, all kinds of things. And there is always this insinuation that it's always for monetary gain. So would you say there's a difference in the way that mixed race relationships are perceived when it comes to a black man and a white woman and a black woman and a white man? Because I think I've noticed a difference.
Yeah, I do agree, but it again it depends on who's noticing, who's making the comment. You know, I think black women will they'll defend other black women. Not if they're doing really bad stuff, but just generally, if you know they're living their life, if they're in a relationship, they should be able to be in a relationship with anybody they want.
right.
But then you'll have people outside of black women who have all sorts of like ideas of how black women should
Yeah.
comport themselves and so on.
I mean, yeah, like you said, kind of outside the circle. Because if you want to look at a relationship where you see a lot of that, that's going to be Serena Williams. And did you see this white woman saying she's sick of her and her husband performing their relationship? Because it's like, because people do not believe, right, where it comes to black men, this is a difference. People think, oh, that person might really love that black man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look at what she's put herself through. She's gone to be with a black man, what a heroine. When it comes to black women, They do not believe
There's
a genuine reason
Yeah.
why that white guy would be with you. It's got to be sexual, or it's got to be money, or it's got to be that he's dominating you in some kind of way. It's just weird.
There's just no value put on us, I'd say.
Exactly.
In fact, this came up with Kalichi a little while ago, didn't it? Because she was put on blast on some TV podcast or TV show.
Oh, The Grapevine. That's the only time
Grapevine.
I've ever watched it.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't actually watch it, but I did get involved in the conversation because I couldn't believe that she was getting attacked because they thought that she had hidden the fact that she had a boyfriend who was white.
Because she doesn't speak about her personal life on Twitter. I think
exactly. Who does? Well, I do, but maybe I should do less.
I think because she calls out black men a lot. Their thing was one of glee, basically, and it's basically to say she cannot be speaking about cultural things because she's with a white guy. And if you look back throughout history with Frantz Fanon and all these black leaders who are, who've been with white women.
Yeah,
but when a black woman does it,
that's
they
no
try
problem.
To say
they can do what they want.
Exactly.
But it's the what's it, double standard? I guess
exactly. It's what it is. It's patriarchy mixed with racism, misogynoir.
Yeah, but let me quote a film I saw earlier this week. If at Beale Street by the guy who won the Oscar for Moonlighting. Yeah. Moonlight. That's it. And in that there was a quote where one person. Who is in Atlanta, Paperboy, he is talking about, in the context of him having been in prison and the experiences he had, he said, the white man is the devil. And so, as we can talk about all this, let's keep that in mind.
The white man is the devil.
Well, I mean, it made perfect sense in context, but then also out of context, there's a lot of instances where there has been issues, especially with white men subjugating black women.
I'm dealing with the devil right now. That's all I have to say. Okay. More on that in a future episode.
Okay.
I have actually thought that myself today. I'm dealing with the devil. Literally.
But we'll do that on another episode. Yes. But let's go on. So next we were going to talk about, we are called the NDA Podcast. NDA in traditional terms.
Yes. Oh, the NDA. Oh, the real NDA.
Actually mean non-disclosure acts, obviously. Yeah, but we, as you know, and it probably says down there, no dickheads allowed. So we came across this tweet. Do you want to read it out? From the Women and Equalities Committee.
They've said, how are non-disclosure agreements being used in discrimination cases? Are they used more for particular types of harassment or discrimination? We're launching an inquiry. Tell us your views. See our website for further details.
Okay. So they're on Twitter at Commons WOMEQU if you want to get involved with that. But it did come, a great guy on Twitter sent it our way. That's Ranjan, tweeted it to us. So we thought we'd flag it up if anybody wants to get involved with that.
I do, actually, Women and Equalities Commission. I've got a lot to say about NDAs. So I would love to be part of your select committee.
That's a plea. Hello and welcome to Baig.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. I'm stuck in the middle.
Thank you so much for coming down today. We're going to have a quick chat about all sorts of things, I think.
Wax print film is the story of one fabric and how it came to symbolise a continent, its people and their struggle for freedom. A feature documentary directed by Aiwan Obinyan.
Let's find out exactly how big are those muscles, Asumadu? That's the burning question everybody wants to know.
It's all over Twitter and Instagram. I don't know how to go.
This is the content, you only get that here.
Exactly. We've got him here for the muscles and the eyelashes.
No, okay, so what is your direct message to Men's Health magazine? Because I know you want to get on that cover, you and Simeon Brown.
You need more brown people on that cover, man. You need me and Simeon on there. 2 journalists. I think more people would buy your magazine.
I agree, I'd buy it actually. If there were men of colour on it, I would buy it.
There you have it, Men's Health magazine. Get on it. I think, what's your Twitter handle? Tell them.
It's my name, Baig.
That's all you need. All right then. So let's move on to stuff. We had the Trashies last night. You were there and you presented an award. Can you remind us of what you presented?
So I presented the 2 joint runners-up, and they were one was the Times article about the Muslim fostering story, where it was claimed that a Christian child was put into foster care with a Muslim family who had stopped her eating bacon and so forth, and the article just wasn't true. And the other one was
hang on, it wasn't true.
It wasn't true.
Okay, so what happened when we found out? How did we find out it wasn't true, and what happened?
I think the Tower Hamlets council complained, and there was an investigation of some sort, and it said it was basically not true. I tweeted an article from the BBC about it today. And the other story was the Rivers of Blood speech on BBC Radio 4 presented by Aiwan Obinyan.
What's he doing with himself? Why is he doing these things?
He's at the BBC.
He was like there was a big fuss when he was made the first sort of brown editor of the Independent, but of any mainstream press.
Yeah.
Is that what he's going to do with his platform now? You know.
I think a lot of people are upset because one is giving that speech a platform as if people need to know more about fascism. And I understand some will say, look, hold on, we're having a critical debate about it. But actually, we're not involved in that debate, in a sense.
As
in people of colour generally that are at the kind of receiving end of racism and Islamophobia and hatred.
I mean, it's in the press, but it's in the streets as well.
Yeah.
Well, it trickles down, doesn't it? Because you see Muslim kids, when we do stuff with Show Racism Red Card, you'll see little Muslim girls who have their hijab pulled off, and they're called Taliban, and they're called, Osama, and all kinds of stuff like that. And these people do not think by humanising fascism that there's actually going to be an effect on us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't understand what they do with it, and I don't understand the black and brown journalists that support it either.
Yeah.
So it was open to a public vote.
You're starting to be annoying, can you stop?
It's it was open to a public vote, and that's what people voted for, and it shows actually these people's opinions are not taken into account, the objections.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, look, hold on, we've got a brown or black journalist and they're okay with this. So therefore the rest of the communities out there must be okay with this as well.
It's not like the press ever do public polls and votes and so on. Even their awards they do, the Comet Awards, that's not held to a public vote. It's like a sort of room full of other journalists and other corporate people who decide that they are they're the winner. Even I was a judge in 2016, and I tried to get my any brown journalist to get on top, but it wasn't happening. I was in a room full of white people. So a public vote is actually really important. But then again,
what are you doing, you freak? I'm so sorry. I don't know what my child
no, my boobs are great, so I understand. It's okay. But
Leon, will you cut it out? But jokes aside, seriously, we'll edit this.
I'm gonna leave this.
It's okay.
But outside of that, I think just by the way that we're completely ignored really shows where this country's at the moment, and by reducing it to identity politics, by making it that's a bad thing.
People don't have identity politics as well. It's ridiculous. But I've just realised that maybe I made a mistake there. You can tell me. I said a public vote is very important, but then obviously we're in the middle of Brexit chaos.
Yes, exactly. That didn't work out too well.
I've been in the newsroom and that's been going on. I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? It's all falling apart.
Yeah.
And after her first 2 sentences, when she came out, I thought she was going to resign, but she didn't. How many resignations now? 7. Maybe there'll be more by the time that this will go out. And it's but essentially the country, she said, it's my deal or this deal, a no deal or no Brexit.
Yeah.
So what is going on with the black and brown people who are starting to say Theresa May's a boss?
Oh my God!
What is wrong with them?
God! Twitter was crazy. Was that yesterday, the day before?
I've seen a couple now who I
that.
actually like.
Yeah.
Who have actually said,
even know
she's amazing. She's socking it to them. Could you imagine? And I'm like, are you mad?
And then there's the other ones who are saying, "Oh, I feel so sorry for her." And I'm like, this woman deported 50,000 students. It hardly got any press. Foreign students, black students mostly, and Indian. She deported them in her role as Home Secretary. No, I don't feel any empathy for her because she might lose her job.
But she wanted that job though, so I don't understand why you feel sorry for a politician who runs for that job. And she wanted to be Prime Minister, and she is. So why is everyone feeling sorry for her?
The question also is, who else would do this job right now? Who would take this job on?
I
After the referendum, after David Cameron stepped down, the question is, who would have wanted that job?
Well, it looks like Michael Gove wants it the most. He's stabbed the most people in the back, as far as I can tell. He nearly got Boris, but I think Boris actually in the end got the better of him, getting the Foreign Secretary job, while Gove was in environment, which is very important. But he wanted the Prime Minister's job. So
right now, who are the possible leaders if Theresa May goes? Like, there's Boris, Jacob Rees-Mogg, and Gove.
God help
Michael
us.
Gove, right?
There might be, I don't know, there might be some hidden contenders, like the Tory party is full of, it's a rat's nest of people that just come up.
They all stab each other in the back. It's so funny because you always talk about Labour infighting, but the Tory infighting is better and it's more petty.
Yeah.
Because like literally they will fight each other for like a feud they had at prep school where one got in each other's bed and pissed in it and they haven't let it go yet. They're so spiteful. It's unbelievable.
Okay, so all right then. Let's take our own little public poll. Who would we, out of the Tories, want to become the leader of the party, hence then Prime Minister? Go.
I can't say.
Why?
I don't know. I really can't. I just don't think.
So
I'd
you
say
don't
Anna
think...
Soubry.
Anna Soubry.
Because she cancelled Brexit.
Okay.
That's the only
Right
reason.
then, I will say Larry the Cat, because I believe he's a Tory. He's still there, so you?
I think it has to go to the if there's going to be a leadership challenge, it goes to the members and let them decide. That's my diplomatic answer. That's my diplomatic answer. It has to go to the members and
Is that your diplomatic answer because you are a mainstream journalist? Or
that's my journalistic answer because I'm a reporter. Because also, let's face it, if there is a leadership challenge, it's really exciting for us journalists because we get to report on it.
Oh my God! Do you know what I actually? I had a meeting with the managing editor of quite a big platform. Let's say I won't say which one, and he said to me their hits have gone sky high since Trump. And I was like, oh God, that's terrible. He said, well, it's terrible, but it's also quite good, but it's terrible.
Yeah.
But it's good, but it's terrible.
That's what they used to do, Hopkins. I remember
that
they used to say, because I was like, why have you got this bitch on here? And they were like, well, because when we do, the website, everything...
People hate watch things. And but the thing is, they don't realise that actually drives the agenda because they'll be commissioned again.
I'm not sure why you do it.
I have no idea what my daughter's doing. She's
rubbing, touching my beard.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of women who will be really, really jealous of this right now. Go for it, girl.
Oh my God, this guy, he gets a lot of compliments actually. Last night, it was ridiculous. Like, we want to get his wife on here as well.
Yes, I really apologise. I'm sorry to
No
my
apology.
daughter.
I'm pleading to you. Rania, you're fantastic. Come on the show. Okay.
She's way better than me. Yeah, she'll give you more opinions
What I
than I
wanted
would.
to ask you quickly before you have to go was because you just said that comment as a mainstream journalist, and before you had are you more conscious of what you say now because of what you've been through?
I think you have to be. I think there's one thing being a print journalist and you have kind of like this freedom and you can comment and stuff. And no, it's alright. She's she's comfortable.
Oh, she's like.
And being able to comment, and I think that when you're reporting, there is this kind of thing that you have to be or try to be as objective as possible. But also as a journalist of colour and as a Muslim, I very quickly learned the hard way that if you say something, and even if say your white journalist colleague is saying exactly the same thing, you're the one that's going to be picked out, and you're the one that's going to be attacked, and it's not only because you're Muslim and you're a person of colour, it's because you're a particular kind of person of colour, like your kind of working class background. People don't like the way that you look, your sound, and they definitely don't like the way...
Let me get some water, carry on.
They definitely don't like the way that you tell your stories or the things that you report on. So I have to earn a living, and I love what I do. I love being a journalist, but also it's once you work in the mainstream, it's incredibly exhausting and mentally draining when you're being attacked. Because you have to be wary.
I do find that we are held to a higher standard, but I find that if you are a person of colour that is proud of where you come from, I think that is... You get more grief for that than other brown and the ones who will go on and say, "Oh, I'm fine with it. I don't mind that. That's not racist to me. I haven't got a problem with it." They will get all the rewards. Whereas if you are the one who's trying to change the status quo, you pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all three of us have done over time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think also it's also really off-putting for people that want to get into kind of the mainstream and journalism, like those young people that are trying to break in, that they're also completely aware of this. They can see it happening. And actually, when I was attacked, what was interesting was outside of that little bubble of the newsroom where it's kind of so intense, people would stop me in the street and say, "I read that. We're behind you, bro."
Really?
Yeah. People that I've never met, and I was also getting messages like of solidarity and people saying, "Look, don't worry about it. It's the Daily Mail or Guido."
Which
whoever.
time was this? Was this in 2016?
I think it's 2015. I think.
Is that when we were talking? And we?
Yeah. So that kind of Daily Mail stuff. I think it's 2015. No, 2016. It was 2016. I can't remember. I have a weird concept of time. But and people have stopped me and said, "Look, you know what? Good on you. We support you because." As a journalist that's kind of from inner city communities, when I get it right, people let me know. But if I get it wrong, someone will stop me in East London or in Birmingham and say, "Listen, bro, you messed up."
Okay.
Although it hasn't really happened.
But that's because you're part of the community and part of the grassroots, which makes you what makes you a really good journalist as well.
I hope so. But also there's that accountability, right? People feel that you should be accountable to them because essentially I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't get the stories that I do if I wasn't from the community. If I hadn't built up that credibility, and then people feel like, hold on, they can also question me, and they have all every right to question me.
Yeah. And so then, does it follow then that white journalists don't have a community, and that's why they're not accountable?
I think it works differently. I think that sometimes, if you look at where journalists are, where they're recruited from, and sometimes it's like the politicians, the civil servants, and the journalists went to the same universities, sometimes have the same tutors, they hang around in the same circles, live in the same areas, send kids to the same schools. So if sometimes it's like the echo chamber, like the award ceremonies, right? It's like, well done, that was a really good story. Whereas I don't live in those areas, I didn't go to those schools, I didn't go to those universities, and actually a lot of my time is spent trying to talk to people within communities around the country and trying to get stories and trying to build confidence and relationships. And I don't know how accountability works.
I think it's a good point that you made. Like, do white journalists have a community? And I find like often this is why they want to comment on ours because they don't. Because you know what I mean. What are you writing about? Like you said, they all go to the same schools and stuff, and there's only so far you can go there.
Yeah.
You know, there's only one Waitrose magazine. So, at the end of the day, I think they do, and then they get mad at us when we're going, hold on a second, you're writing about our communities and you don't even know what you're talking about. You're talking absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
But I would say also, like the point that Asad made is like, people come up to them in the street. What black and brown people need to do is stop coming to us in the street, stop going to us on Twitter, and actually write to the publications. Because if they know how much support he has and how important he is to that community, then I think people would treat us differently. But I think
people don't feel they have power, though.
Because
and I sent a tweet the other day because there's been this the gang list or whatever got leaked. Unbelievably awful, and they've literally, like, the papers are thankfully at least saying these children could be in danger because of this leak that has come from wherever, but it's a Met Police thing. And I was tweeting Sadiq Khan, Matthew Ryder, who is the deputy, saying, I will hold you personally responsible if something happens to these children, because you have to, somebody has to be accountable. So it's your job now to make sure that there's some sort of plan to make sure that kids, nothing happens to them.
We're talking about people writing in and kind of showing the support, but what editors and bosses need to realise, for example, communities I come from, like the Muslim communities, I don't think there's one Muslim community, there's communities, right? But it's extremely politicised, it's like kind of vested interest, and there's a lot of money involved in terms of funding. So when certain journalists do make it, there's certain people within those communities that are not happy, and they hang around in those same circles as the bosses, and they're willing to put pressure on them and say, you shouldn't be hiring this person, or you shouldn't be, and this person is not representative. As a journalist, I'm not here to be representative of every single person. What I'm trying to do is trying to bring stories to light and have voices on air that we don't usually hear from, or that would never speak to mainstream media.
But do the editors realise there are Muslim communities?
I think, look, it depends. Like where I work at Channel 4 News, I think yes they do. I think they're very aware of that. But also, they're not immune from the pressure of, say, Guido Fawkes or the right-wing media writing about you. And actually, I think from all the places I've worked, Channel 4 News is probably the best. I've made like friends there that they're friends for life. That they understand where you're coming from and they understand that you have a job, and then there's that accountability. But there are people within our own communities, like I had people writing into my boss trying to get me sacked, trying to make out I'm some sort of religious extremist, right?
Well, no, do you remember I emailed your boss as well, just to say like I'm totally on his side. He's done nothing wrong. We support him completely as a community, from Media Diverse, Five Rights of Colour, etc. I don't know how much effect it made, but I think I think you're right. We have to vocally say when it's wrong and when it's right as well.
I think they're under a lot of pressure. The balance comes out. So there's the balance of, hold on, this guy's here. He's bringing us some good stories and exclusives. But hold on, we're getting a lot of shit for him as well. And when the other bosses start ringing up and saying, what's going on? What's up with this guy? And then that pressure. But also, like, people from my community they don't care. They don't know who Guido is. They don't care what Daily Mail is saying. So I think editors should...
Who do they value then, in that case? The editors? Are they valuing Guido or the actual people they're supposed to serve?
I think sometimes some editors are more afraid of what Guido and the Daily Mail are saying about the journalists rather than how much credibility those journalists have in their own communities. I'm not saying it's the same everywhere. I'm not giving out any names or being in particular. But I think a lot of us journalists live in that bubble. There's that London bubble, there's that Westminster bubble, and then there's this kind of journalistic bubble. What's the other journalist saying? What is the Daily Mail saying? What is Guido saying? And I'm like, who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares?
Absolutely. But also, you've just said that they're getting calls from the bosses and so on. What happened with Kathy Newman then? I mean, there was literally a hashtag called Kathy Newman's Lies when all that Moss stuff happened in 2015, was it? Do you remember?
I have no comment.
What's that?
I have no comment.
Because you see, Sam, because we have to work in this space, so I have got no comment.
And I think also, like, when you look, when you have the support and that I do, you get those stories. But that's also those editors are saying, okay, should we give this guy a job because we commit baggage? I recognise that. You know, I'm a working class Muslim, South Asian, Kashmiri guy, and I'm a journalist and I've struggled to be here. I have that credibility, I feel, within the Muslim communities, but I also have that baggage because as soon as I'm on air, there's going to be certain people that will be complaining. Now forget about the right-wingers, I'm talking about certain individuals from the Muslim communities. I even had an MP complain.
People do not even realise that, because I've had a lot of complaints from black women about me.
Really?
Now, when I used to take it on Channel 4 News, and it was a campaign led by a couple of black women.
Wow.
Really
when you went on, when you went, what were they saying about?
Basically, it was like saying that it's not fair because other people have to go and find childcare. Why is she allowed to take her child to work? All kinds of crap. And they put the statistics up of how many women are trapped out of the workforce after they have children, and why should I be allowed to do this? Why should I be allowed to do that?
Everybody have different jobs. Good God.
So you should raise the standard.
Well, that's exactly. It should be like, well, okay then.
Do you know what? They need a union, because that's exactly what unions try to do, isn't it? Raise it for everybody rather than dragging everybody down.
I have a black woman giving me the worst amount of grief at the moment.
We need a black women's union and a Muslim person.
I think from all the grief I got, the grief from the Muslim side I was very, very small, but they had a loud voice. So if you're an MP, or if you're head of an organisation, or whatever, even if the organisation only exists on a website, right? People don't know, right? Anyone can set up an organisation and say we're Muslim such and such, and editors don't know how much support you actually have. The website looks professional, you get airtime, but actually from the grassroots community, I had loads of that. My phone was ringing, I was getting messages, I was getting emails, Facebook messages, solidarity and support. And that actually helps you get through, because the newsroom can be an extremely lonely place at times. But luckily, I was around a good crew and good people that kind of did support me.
Well, that's a nice note to end on. But is there any last words you'd like to say now that you're on what are we called again? The NDA Podcast.
Surprised you guys invited me on.
Only the muscles and the eyelashes. That's why you're here.
We can't just objectify our first guest. Oh my God. We won't get another one.
Make it more.
All right then. Thank you so much for coming.
Guys.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Lucifer, dawn of the morning, I'm gonna chase you out of earth. Lucifer, Lucifer.
Okay, we had a very good feature on our first episode. It's called Get in the Bin. And some people saw it and they got very interested in it. Actually, can we just do a shout out to your Get in the Bin from last time?
Oh, yeah. What was his name? I've forgotten his name. He used to be the head of the Adam Smith Institute anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say he is an absolute gentleman. He took it very, very well. And I actually felt guilty about it. So,
what did he do though?
He said, "I'm really sorry, ladies," or something. I disagree with you. I'm sorry that we differ on our opinions, but thank you anyway.
Yeah, I think he liked the show, did he? I can't remember. Anyway, I'll put that tweet up. But yeah, it was nice that he did that.
Yeah.
Because we've had other reactions that aren't so great and some silence as well. But go ahead with your Get in the Bin. My Get in the Bin is Emil Rattleband.
Now, this fool, I was going to use another word, but there's a child in the room. This dickhead, actually, has decided to go to court to allow himself to be seen as 20 years younger. I don't even pay that. Like, I think he's 69 and he wants to be seen as 49 because he said that he can get more women on Tinder that way. He can get a mortgage. He can do other things that a younger man could. Now, can I just say that everybody's treating this as a joke, but this man is a right-wing, horrible, nasty piece of work.
This sounds
and
like
what
it's
he's
a stalking.
actually doing is trying to undermine the rights of transgender people. So he goes, if people can change their gender, then surely I can change my age. He doesn't want to go on Tinder because he's married anyway. And I really got annoyed that Piers Morgan had him on the show.
Did he have him? Of course Piers Morgan had.
Of course he did, because he's a dickhead. And at the end of the day, people are taking it as like a joke and speaking. And Jamelia spoke on that, and sis, really, like when a gay Tory is making more sense than you, because that's a fucking bloody oxymoron in itself. Yeah. Like, how can you be a gay Tory? But anyway, let's leave that for now. When a gay Tory is next to you telling you you're talking rubbish, mate, then maybe you need to take a good look in the mirror. It was disappointing, Jamelia's comments on it, claiming that men can change race as well as if people can change race and they can change. Like, can we stop conflating all these different issues, okay? It's really insulting to the trans community. Trans people have been amongst us for ages. You do not
And not just in the West.
Right, exactly. There's a word for it in every single African language. There's the third gender in South Asia.
Yeah.
People know about it. Trans people have been around us for ages. And for when people like this come along and make this kind of argument that it's the same as changing your age is a definite thing. You are born on that day, and that is all there is to it. So, I just want him to get in the bin, and I want people to stop treating him like a joke, because if you look in his background, he is a very right-wing, nasty piece of work. So I would like him to go out to the pavement on bin day, take the lid off, get in the bin, put the lid back on, and fucking stay in there until they take you in the back of their van and crush you. Get in the fucking bin, you tramp.
But just to add to that, I mean, we put Jamelia on blast, but then who is the ultimate person who has a big platform in a daily newspaper is what's her name? She's on Twitter as Victoria Peckham, but she's called Janice Turner. Now she had about four or five nominations for her articles about trans people in the Times. I know. And she's been leading the way. She even had a judge of the Comment Awards quit because of her nomination, her shortlisting.
Yeah,
in
I
the
understand that. White women be white womening. But Jamelia, really, honestly, a lot of us have faith in you. You did your hair videos. True. They were good. We thought you were sensible. You were speaking about the discrimination, about the first class train ticket, and you were bringing issues about black dolls and stuff. Sis, do better. Do better. What you did was such an insult to the trans community. Do better.
We want to love you, so...
All right.
Okay.
And that's it with love.
My Get in the Bin this week is the former Home Secretary, Amber Rudd. Now, it was announced that she is now... what is she? Let me just check, because... David Lammy, who's generally on point these days, since a few years actually, noted that Shavid Javid,
Pumpkinhead, whatever.
His parents didn't like him. Anyway, Shavid Javid yesterday said he's thrilled to see Amber Rudd back in the cabinet. David Lammy quote tweeted him and said at least 164 British citizens were deported or detained. No victims have received a penny of compensation. At least 11 died before they received any justice. Amber Rudd made huge errors. You are rewarding failure. This is an insult, not a triumph. And he put the hashtag Black Lives Matter, which I don't think many politicians have done in the past or will do in the future.
We need to talk about David Lammy next time.
Yeah. Okay, then Marcus also replying to someone.
I know Marcus. I love Marcus.
Marcus, fantastic.
Oh,
He's retiring. So
he's Bajan.
Obviously, Amber Rudd has been appointed as Work and Pensions Secretary. So Marcus, who made 2 great points. So Amber Rudd, who made an almighty hash of the Windrush scandal, is coming back to Cabinet after 6.5 months. And that is not a long time. And so obviously, you know...
That's what they always do, though. They do that with Esther McVeigh.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they do that. They resign their seats. Like that guy who was head of immigration, who was found out to have an illegal immigrant as a cleaner. What they do is they resign, they go, and quietly they bring them back into another job. They do it all the time. It's actually quite insulting. Just don't resign.
Yeah. And it's literally in the thick of it. Yeah. There's a whole programme about people resigning and coming. Don't worry, you can resign now. You'll be back in 10 months.
Exactly.
Or 4 months, depending on how bad it, you know. And then so Marcus also said Amber Rudd's majority is 346. People of Hastings and Rye, you know what you must do. And I absolutely agree with it. And I remember the struggle she actually got to be an MP again, because she had recount after recount just to get that 346.
I think they need to get Owen Jones and Ash Sakar down there, because they go on these doorstepping things, don't they?
Right, yeah.
And they will go to like someone's constituency and they will campaign like hell. So Ash, Owen, get on it, please.
Please do.
Get rid of her.
Thank you. Okay, so Amber Rudd is my get in the bin, because also apart from her appointment, the press are loving it, aren't they? The press and the politicians are loving it.
I just had an Amber Rudd story in my head that I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
We are the NDA Podcast.
I don't know. I'll leave it.
Okay, we'll think about it. So also...
You need to check with lawyers.
Yeah. I've got a lawyer. I just got a lawyer this week. It's very exciting. The first time I've ever had a lawyer.
I've had a lawyer.
And so the trashies, trashies are on our mind. The trashies said... Raf, who tweets from there, Uncle Raf, he said the way Amber Rudd has been welcomed back by certain sections of the commentariat and Windrush downplayed as some clerical error is sickening. And he's completely right. It is sickening. And that is why...
I mean, I'm from a Caribbean background, and it does make me frightened, because you do think to yourself, well, if they're going to do this to Caribbean elders, how much longer is it going to be before they use that to say, well, your grandmother or your mother was not legal here?
You're not. No, but they are already doing it, because there's a case with the Chagos Islands, the backstory of that, where the British, did everything they could to get everybody out of that island so they could use it for whatever
military base,
took them to Britain, and they didn't give them proper papers. And now, years later, there's 3 grandchildren of a Chagos Island resident initially who moved to Britain who may be deported.
Wow. To where though?
To where exactly?
That's the whole thing. It's like, you go around the world colonising and stuff, and it makes you laugh, because it's like they tell you to go back where you come from. Now, probably your parents from the same place.
Yeah, Ghana.
Like, a lot of us don't even have parents from the same place. Where the hell are we supposed to go? It just makes no sense. And you never actually gave it that much thought. Do you know what I mean? If you want to crow, and this is what the whole Brexit thing's about, it's all because you're nostalgic for your empire, and you've got this deluded dream that everyone gives a shit about you in the whole world, and they actually don't. And so basically, they're getting so xenophobic. They never thought about it. You go around colonising these people.
Exactly. And then you've got structure, admin to actually deal with these things.
Was it Linda Bellows? I don't really like quoting her anymore, but I think she said, "We're here because you were there."
Yeah.
You can't get it more simple than that.
Well, actually, who's it? This week, Kwaku Adebolu, I hope I said that right, I probably didn't. He was deported to Ghana. He hasn't been there since he was He's gone.
Has he gone? No.
Did you not know?
I didn't know
this.
Oh,
sorry, this is about 2 days ago, yeah.
You're fucking joking.
No. I signed the thing and all of this, but no, he's gone. The campaign is still going.
Did you see how evil they are? That guy was a banker. He was like a private schoolboy. He was everything. You see, this is what I say to other public school black kids. do not think for 1 minute that you're part of their system, because we are not. It does not matter if we went to boarding school or not. We're not. I can't believe that.
Yeah. He's still going to try. Obviously, he's got his wife here and so on.
Yeah.
But
Ghana's a great place.
Yeah,
but...
it isn't the worst place to go back to.
No, but
but that's not the point. No, it's absolutely not the point.
Man, I didn't know that.
Oh, sorry.
I
mean, if you go to, I think, Afua Hirsch's Twitter or Patrick Vernon, you can find out a bit more about it. But
Wow.
On to Here and Fabulous.
Here and Fabulous. My nomination for Here and Fabulous this week is Stormzy, for the fact that he's now got his own, is it called an imprint?
Imprint, yeah.
He's got his own imprint at Penguin. And he's looking to publish black women writers, isn't he?
Yeah, black women.
I love Stormzy. I think Stormzy's
is fantastic.
Radical. I think he's intelligent. I love what he does. I think he's absolutely amazing. I like the fact that he did the scholarship for black students to go to Cambridge.
But there's been controversy around that because apparently he went to Oxford as well and they turned him down.
Yeah, well they would, because they've got the Cecil Rhodes statue, so, you know.
Oh really?
And,
yeah. No, sorry. Yeah, I know.
So yeah, I think that what Acid said earlier makes a lot of sense when it comes to Stormzy, because if you saw him at the Brit Awards when he was talking about Grenfell, do you think we forgot about Grenfell? And he was going, they're going to make me pay for this later. Well, you do know, as a black artist or a black, person in the public eye, if you say anything at all, you will get some backlash.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting, I remember when it all came out and thankfully, I guess he made the right decision of going off Twitter, but there was a lot of nonsense going on. Why are you supporting, have a fund for black people and stuff? That's racist, etc.
Oh, he's gone off Twitter?
Yeah, he hasn't been on Twitter for a while. But the thing is, there was some comeback to that racist backlash. And people, but there was the racist backlash, then there was the comeback to that. And the comeback to it was quite funny because they started quoting, so where's your, what's his name? Stephen Yaxley Lennon, that's his real name. What's his fake name?
Tommy Robinson.
Why don't you get him to fund you? Why don't you get some?
Because he's using
Professor
their money
Green
to buy a house. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Professor Green has done some good this week. Actually, he's come out and said you can't just say that knife crime is about black people. There's also white people that are doing it.
Slapped him a couple of years back.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not see that. I did not.
Okay, so Carla went through his music video, and he had the video that he filmed on the housing estate in Hackney, and it was something about this animals, and it was this image of this horrible imagery of black guys, and it was Carla broke it right down.
I'm going to pause it on that line of the gentleman in the coffin, because for those who didn't hear that line, it said, "You look like fresh food to a hungry ape," and then close up of the gentleman in the coffin. Now, I'm not saying that this is intended to be malicious. I'm not saying that Professor Green's a bad guy. I know Professor Green, he's a nice guy. But just because someone wants to disrespect their own culture and disrespect themselves doesn't give you the right, because you might live next to them, to do the same thing. But what for me is significant about this video is a couple of things. Number one, you've got the two young white artists in the video, one of whom is singing in a Jamaican accent. He's not Jamaican. And I don't mind that, but I'm just pointing it out. He's Irish and he's singing in a Jamaican accent. That's fine. But I don't mind when you do that and you want to highlight good things about Jamaican people, but when you only want to highlight the worst of our culture, and you want to use my accent to do that, and you don't understand it, I guarantee you, if I ask him, what is patois? He's not going to say to me, African English. He's going to say, just accent, I heard it in reggae music, right? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I've got to point these things out.
And then Professor Green was like, "Oh, who do you think you are? Why didn't you come to me, bro? I'm talking about my video, bro." And the guy's like, "I don't need to come to you and ask permission for fuck all." And so I think he learned from Akala. So Professor Green, salute.
It's always layers, isn't it? Always layers. Okay. Yeah. And so, so my Here and Fabulous this week is, again, we've already talked about him today, but Marcus on Twitter, at MarcusJDL, and he had a beautiful picture that came up on Instagram. I was on the Writers of Colour Instagram doing my little thing and saw this picture. Here, I guess I'm going to put it somewhere there, and I just thought it was fabulous. And he has written for Media Diversified a few times. I think the first one was about white historians and how ahistorical they are about history. Basically, he was looking at the Nord diamond, which Britain stole, and just talking about David Starkey and so on. And then he recently wrote about the Windrush scandal, just how, you know, this country.
He's been really hot on that.
He's been really good, and he did a piece sort of saying, you know, this country is deporting grandmothers and grandfathers, like old people, and they're dying, you know. And so yeah.
I love the way Marcus uses his voice, actually.
Yeah.
And he's a gay man as well. He speaks a lot about gay rights, about gay people of colour. I love me some Marcus.
So he is my Here and Fabulous.
Okay, this has been the NDA Podcast. Thank you for joining us again. And don't forget, we're on iTunes now, motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yes, we're on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, we're on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter at
And more of you follow
NDA.
us, please.
Yes,
if you
please.
follow us individually,
Yeah.
and like if there was all our followers was just, you know, combined and follow NDA, just follow us.
Yeah,
Follow
and then you get all the
NDA.
stuff
right.
quickly, rather than, you know, when we remember to retweet stuff and so on and
You'll
put it
get
on
all the
Facebook.
clips.
So yeah, so on Twitter we're at NDA
Oh.
_podcast and
I think
so
we need
on.
to say goodbye to Fraser.
Oh, okay, yes. Here we go.
So, I hope you can see this. This is the end of the NDA Podcast for this week. I'm Ava Vidal.
And I'm Samantha Asumadu.
And this is Fraser Nelson.
Bye.
And we'd like to say bye.
Level ain't even on 10, and still they can't manage. They think I'm a shy one, like no, Simz won't flip. But when I switch, then they wanna say that I'm a bitch.
I said it with my chest and I don't care who I offend. I said it with my chest.